Hello, my name is Peter West. I'm here with Jason Lurkey with Paper Transport, and we're going to talk about his experience and adventures in SD-WAN. And Jason's been using Peplink for a long time, so I thought it'd be really neat to get, the historical documentation and kind of an idea of what it's like to use Peplink over a course of several years rather than just somebody that's signed up recently. So, Jason, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization?
All right. As Peter said, my name is Jason Lurkey. I am the system administrator for Paper Transport Incorporated. We'll just call it PTI just to make it nice and short. But I initially started my career at PTI in around the 2013 timeframe. This was my first experience in IT. I started out as a help desk support role and slowly worked our way up into the system administrator role. We were a pretty small team back in 2013. There was probably only 4 of us on the team at the time. We were managing, anywhere between 60 to 70 office staff and 400 so drivers for the fleet. Now we just had our 30-year anniversary for PTI, which is phenomenal, and we are up to almost 200 office staff and 850 drivers. Every year we try to grow and expand on what we have done the prior year. And so far we've been able to kind of expand the business, by almost 20% every year.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Well, why don't you tell us Paper Transport's mission and what your vision is for transportation?
PTI's main mission is always one of continuous improvement. We always try to move forward with whatever is going to be the most innovative, best solution for our business. We don't want to remain stagnant. We don't want to be doing things the way we've always done them, because that's just the way they've always been. And then we also, during all this, we want to maintain our cultural commitments to, safety and building a great place to work. Jeff sometimes refers to our office setting as a cult, because we're all drinking the Kool-Aid. We're all loving it, and we all want to have a good place to work.
Excellent. Yeah. During our pre-talk here, you mentioned 850 drivers. That's not all just moving around a whole bunch of paper, right?
No. We are moving all varieties of products, cleaning supplies, recycled paper, cardboard displays, anything for Procter and Gamble. Anything that's like a big, corporation that's doing a lot of, cleaning supplies and paper products. I guess I said that already. And then anything from beer to just regular old cardboard boxes for we have one place that's just a box plant where all they do is make cardboard boxes for, farms for their harvest,
Oh, interesting. Okay. Very cool. Can you discuss some of the difficulties you faced during your daily operations prior to implementing a SD-WAN or Peplink West Network solution?
Yeah, it was prior to implementing the Peplink devices, we would get a significant amount of support calls. As the business was growing, we found there was a need for remote users at remote locations. It was not financially, smart to purchase a building out somewhere, in a remote location just so we could house 1 or 2 office staff. So we'd end up doing is we'd lease the building based on, lease price and location to our current maintenance facilities. And 9 times out of 10, that did not result in a place that had very good infrastructure for network. So you were kind of stuck out on an island with that remote staff, and they needed the ability to work and be productive every day, but the network infrastructure was not there. So we'd get a lot of service calls. And I think the example I gave you was we had a location out in Oklahoma. It was the ideal location for leasing the building. It was an ideal location for maintenance, but there was literally no internet there. Everything was line of sight. So there was a bunch of towers in Oklahoma, and if it's windy, there's a lot of tornadoes in Oklahoma. Go down, and we'd get the call, and sometimes, the network would go out, and it wouldn't be because of the towers. It would be because of something else. It was a single point of failure. So we were taking, a lot of support calls for these remote staff. and we saw that remote staff was just going to continue to grow, and we were going to continue to add more locations. So that was kind of a pain point that we needed to address.
Excellent. And what research did you do to find the solution that you found?
Yeah, so this particular vendor had a SD-WAN solution with bonding of multiple connections. We were able to get a demo device. It did not seem to be fully mature where we needed it to be. So that kind of led us into what other players are in the field. And at that point, it was between two vendors, Peplink and another vendor. The other vendor did not support WAN bonding at that time. So we started doing our research on Peplink. Nobody in the Green Bay, Wisconsin area that I knew of, or associates that I've worked with, had used SD-WAN for anything yet. And we decided to do our investigation to see, does the support forum look helpful? Does it look like they provide excellent support? What are the reviews of the company? And everything seemed to be pretty positive in that light. And then West Networks was one of the preferred partners, so we reached out. And then Pete gave us our proof of concept demo, and the rest is kind of history.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to skip questions 5 and 6. But yeah, thank you. And what was the process like working with us? Obviously, I'm Peter, so that would be working with me. But what was that process like?
Working with West Networks was remarkable. It was I would have to say that most vendors don't seem to take the time and effort that it took, or that you took to ensure that we had a successful transition, a successful product, that was going to work for us and fill our needs. Anytime there was a question, Pete was there to Peter and his team. At that time, I think it was pretty much just Pete.
Back then, I think it was just me anyway. So you kind of win on that one.
But yeah, you were always available to, you replied with thorough answers. If you didn't have the solution, you got us to the right person that would have the solution, whether that was an actual Peplink engineer or someone else on your team, and that was super helpful.
Excellent. I like that. And I guess that's going to go to the next question, but was communication pro?
Oh, I mean, it was very prompt. It was, you literally have a question and have an answer that same day, or if not the answer, the next steps of what we should be doing.
Excellent. And what obstacles did you face during the kind of the deployment or transition into SD-WAN?
So since it was kind of like not much was known about it, there wasn't a lot of buy-in from the stakeholders. We kind of had to prove, with that proof of concept, basically, like here's what our return on investment is going to be. We can we got to get buy-in, because there's always a cost associated with everything. You have to make sure that you're going to be able to support it. Long term. It's not just a Band-Aid. You're going to slap on a problem. And then once we were able to kind of present after that proof of concept to the leadership team, we knew we were going to minimize support calls. We knew we were going to address that cost. It just anytime. So trucking is super low margin. Anytime you have a cost savings or anything that's going to make you kind of have that edge competitor is going to be huge. So you always have to present that to the team that way. And then it seemed to work out pretty good. As far as the hardware goes, initially we had a few minor blips with how the calls were routing. But we shot you some emails. We called you. We said, here's what we're experiencing. You pulled in an engineer, and it was literally half-hour fix, and it was a checkbox that needed to be changed, because there's so many items, or there's so many things that the Peplink can do, and we're kind of just scratching the surface.
Yeah. Well, you are I believe my very first ever Fusion Hub install, that virtual bonding appliance in your data center.
Oh.
If I'm not mistaken, we went through didn't we give you the original beta version?
believe
your
so.
POC. I'm pretty sure you ran the original beta Fusion Hub and have kind of worked with it through those years. And so it's kind of, I mean, it's grown a lot. And I mean, thankful to customers like yourself that have kind of adopted that technology.
You also helped us walk through the multi-tunnel.
Yeah.
Because, kind of a 1,000-foot view here. Every onsite has should at least have one kind of commercial grade or consumer grade connection in there. Plus, we also pair that with 2 LTE cards so that all 3 are bonded into one connection. But we have a multi-tunnel because we don't want to be pushing like Windows updates or anything like that through the LTE connections that are, we don't want to cost extra. We don't want to drive up that cost.
Yeah.
Remote locations by doing stuff that we can avoid,
Yeah. So you use the multi-tunnel so that you can route the traffic inside SpeedFusion so that only business applications operate over the cellular tunnels.
Yep, correct. Yep. Yeah, only the business applications run over the tunnels, and then everything else could just use whatever is available for the on-site internet. We do have one location that was also another problem child where there was no infrastructure at all. We tried to get a hold of the local telco providers, and it would have been a considerable cost just to get, slow internet in there. And at that point, they're just running solidly off the 2 LTE cards. There's 3 people in that office now, and no complaints.
Excellent. Do you feel the solution is reliable?
Oh yeah, it's definitely reliable because I honestly can't tell you the last time I've logged into the portal to troubleshoot an issue. It's like one of those food dehydrators. You just set it and forget it. You throw it out in the field, you get that initial configuration up, and then you're done. You almost never have to visit it again. Occasionally we will have some, you can dig into the reporting to see what's going on. And usually it's just one connection, probably like a telco provider has an outage in the area. So you'll notice that kind of drags down the other 2, connections. So you call the telco provider and you dump that connection out for a little while, and then when they're good to go, you dump it back in. But for the most part, I never have to touch them.
How has the solution enhanced productivity for those using on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I think it's just it's greatly enhanced their ability to do their job with stability, right? That Oklahoma location that I was talking about, anytime the internet went out, that person on site knew that it was probably going to be a while, so they would pack up their stuff and then take their laptop home and then continue to work from home where they had more reliable internet. If that happened multiple times a week, you got to figure all those interruptions start adding up to where
definitely
they can't do their job. And then after we put the Peplink device in there, we barely got any calls from that location. And that was like one of our prime support calls. They were actually able to stay in their office all day, not have to worry about packing their stuff up and leaving to somewhere else.
Yeah, that sounds like a great workflow improvement, which kind of goes into our next question. Can you give me an overview of that? What is the daily workflow for these employees out in the field? I mean, how are they using this equipment?
So literally, we try to make the remote worker have the same experience. There is almost no difference between them working in a remote office and the corporate workflow. All of their shared drives are there. All of the intranet site for our SharePoint is there. And we push out a their Wi-Fi connection through Radius is the same SID as we have in the corporate office that they would see if they were here. It's pushed out to their remote site, so they don't even need to. They literally just turn on their computer and go.
Yeah, and you're using the Peplink wireless for that, so you're pushing that corporate SSID and enterprise authentication over Radius back over the Peplink's Wi-Fi to match your corporate Wi-Fi.
Yep. Yeah, we have a AP1 Enterprise, I believe. And actually the Jacksonville site that is our largest remote site. We have probably like 6 office staff there. They're more spaced out in their office flow. We actually had to throw in another access point to route to the other side of the office so that they would have ample coverage, and it's just worked out great for them.
Oh, awesome. And then I guess would you recommend West Networks to other companies, transportation or otherwise?
Yeah. Transportation or otherwise, I would definitely recommend you guys to anybody who has, who has this need that they need to get fulfilled. I would think you guys would help a lot of small businesses. 5 years ago, we weren't in the business of saying, hey, let's buy a bunch of buildings remotely and then run a whole bunch of, construction to set up the infrastructure. This makes us, very, very nimble, and very responsive to any changes in the environment. If we're leasing an office and that lease is up or the lease price goes up for that office and we need to move that office to another location, we just pack up the Peplink and move, and then their network goes with them wherever they need.
That's amazing. And I mean, COVID obviously has affected our life. Has it affected yours at all? This is sort of off script, but.
Yeah. So initially we started prepping for the quarantine and the lockdown. So we started spinning up extra remote servers. We've always had we had direct access implemented a while ago. That seems to be working pretty decently for our home staff. We're currently at about 20 office staff, 20 to 30. It depends on who needs to be in the office or not.
Okay.
The rest of the workforce is actually working remotely.
Excellent.
And then the people that are working remotely in the offsite locations, if they can work there by themselves and safely, they've just been doing that, and it's been working out great for them.
Excellent. Well, Jason, I want to say thank you very much. And if you have anything that if somebody's looking for a solution and they're trying to decide what, Peplink or some of these other competitor solutions, is there any advice you'd give them looking for a solution?
Just make sure that you do your due diligence and make sure you're getting an actual fix to what you're receiving, and you're going to get the support that you want to get out of the product. We don't want you shouldn't go with just whoever is going to say, here's the product, here's the bill, now go figure it out. You want to get that cradle to the grave kind of support, right? So that not only do you have like a solution that works, but it's supportable and long term. And I feel like Peplink is that.
That makes me feel great. Thank you so much, Jason, for your time. Thank you for letting us have this meeting, and thank you for being such a long-term customer as well. I appreciate that.
Everything you guys do for us, man. I'm sure as we add more remote locations, we'll be hitting you up for more C2s.
Excellent. I look forward to it. Well, Merry Christmas and thank you.
All right. Merry Christmas, man.
Have a good one.
You too.
I forgot to stop this thing real fast. Oh, there it is.